really crazy to me because, we had just had pretty much the same thing happen and had a different reaction. So I think I kind of learned from that um, to a certain degree, you can, even if you're kind of lying to yourself, you can somewhat, you can't stop that bad momentum, but you can still take a sort of a positive mindset to it. And I think that helped them a lot, probably.
Yeah, I am sure that Dwayne has something to add right now. I'm going to show two photos, and then I'm can imagine that my question will be aligned with Dwayne's. So you got situation A, and I love that Joey picked these two photos, not just because I'm a fan of the Astros, but you got these guys on top of the world that have everything about as much momentum and hype as you could possibly ever get, and then you got the other team who had a ton of momentum. They're basically riding through the playoffs on momentum in a sense. And they're just like, oh God, which is pretty much that's exactly the kind of story that Nick told. So the question is, and we've already kind of said it, but just to wrap it up, what do we do when we're in the Phillies situation? Okay. So, or like we got this huge crush, huge blow, or we got this big snowball coming at us. We have all this negative momentum. Like Nick just brought up a couple good points. So like, what are the actionable items? What do you do as a leader on the team? What needs to be done?
Maybe
I would,
like you can go. Sorry.
thank you. Um, I I would say it wouldn't like let us down because if they did it to us, we can do it to them.
Like that. Okay. So like the mindset of putting things in perspective, right? Like it's really easy in that situation to say, we just gave up 3 runs in the World Series in game 6. It's towards the end. We're on the road. Like it's over. Or you could be like, hey, we're like a hit by pitch and a ground ball up the middle and a homer away from tying this thing, which, I mean, crazier things have happened, right? So your mindset, huge. What were you going to say, Brian?
Really what Joey said. I think I would like try and reassure everybody that the game is not over and like try and get everyone together and just calm everybody down. It's like a high intensity situation where everyone's freaking out and let everyone just take a breath and remind them that it's not over. They still have more innings to play.
Dwayne, you
If
just
I
said,
was on the Phillies,
Go ahead, Robbie.
if I was on the Phillies, and I was a leader, I'd kind of remind the team of the wild card game when they came back from like a 5-run deficit. I kind of remind them of that and better moments that they came back to, reassure them that it's not over and that you could still come back.
Okay, so you're gonna go back on past experience or training, okay, or like a training would be another example of things you overcome in the past. Dwayne, you sat forward. I wasn't sure if you had something.
I have a couple things, man, honestly. And like one of them is a little silly, and another one's like something you actually I would suggest you actually do. You can just get up in the box next inning and just absolutely drive one in the gap. That'll fire up the boys, guaranteed. You can literally bring the team up and just do something a little bit rowdy, talk to them, like remind them of the grind, that kind of stuff. And or you could go into the dugout and smash a telephone like Big Papi does. Again, like I would suggest the first couple options and understand that what you do does matter, because you could smash that telephone pole and lose all respect from your teammates. You can go in the dugout and throw your stuff and absolutely lose your respect. Or you can use that momentum downward and redirect it. It's just as simple as, hey, listen, we just got punched in the mouth right there. I heard my college coach said that 1,000 times. Pitcher gives up a couple runs in the first inning. You just got punched in the mouth. What are you going to do now? And like, to our credit, we were able to kind of use that to our advantage. Be like, you know what? He's right. Let's freaking get back at him. Let's go back at him. We're here. It's cold. Let's get back at him. It's just something like that. But I would. It's not the time to do nothing. Is my point. It's definitely not the time to do nothing.
I just was gonna say, just kind of remind everyone that it's one play at a time, one at bat at a time. You can't hit a 3-run home run with no one on base. So just kind of that it starts with something small and it snowballs into something bigger.
Snowballs.
Boom, well said. Any other thoughts with that, guys?
I'll kind of bring up what Nick said with the snowballs. Like as it gains more momentum, well, it starts very small, but as it gains more momentum, the snowball gets bigger as it goes down the hill. As it gains more snow, and another words like gains more momentum, more confidence. So then the smaller wins, like maybe a single or hit by pitch, can turn into like a home run and tie the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to like whether it's creating momentum or getting rid of negative, we'll call it, or like bad momentum, is to go slowly, like step by step. And Dwayne said it before, but I just, before I brought up the snowball stuff and all that, and he said it like, hey, focus on the next pitch, throw a strike, see the ball, like little small things that you can control that are next, like the things to focus on next. He said that, and I just wasn't sure if everyone like was thinking about it in the same way that I was with the momentum. So I'm glad we got through that. So that was quite the discussion there, guys, to be honest. And it's funny, as much as we try to prepare for stuff, this is a whole other rant, we're not going to go down, but as much as we prepare for things, we cannot predict anything. So for example, we prepared for the call, and Dwayne and I predicted that this momentum talk would not go very long. Wow, we were wrong. in a good way, though. This is a great conversation that just kept going. So we are going to, for the second week, we're going to skip the movement stuff. Okay, we will get to it. We will finish all the cars. We still have our wrist, hips, knees, ankles, maybe even toes, as weird as that sounds. We'll get to that as the weeks go on. We're going to skip that for this week because we have some more pitch calling stuff to do. And we are going to try something that we have never done before on these calls, and possibly has never been done ever. I'm calling it Zoom baseball.
Let's go.
That sounds like a really lame thing to do during COVID season, but right now it's actually going to be a good thing. So we're going to do during Zoom baseball.
Brian will like this.
Let's see.
Absolutely
Can
love
we
it.
see this? Yes. Okay. Yes, we can. We can.
I
see
just took a look at the graphic you sent me, and I was loving it.
Yeah. All right. So this is how it's going to go. Instead of like last week, okay, with pitch calling, we talked about the movement of the hitter, right? If he's really aggressive, if he's on time, if he's late, if he wants to hit something, if he doesn't, will he adjust or not? Like those are some things we talked about, right? And we could talk about that for an hour and a half. And we just kind of went through it quick. Instead of us being like, okay, now imagine this, imagine that, like what would you do here, and going back and forth. What we're going to do instead during Zoom baseball is I'm going to draw up a situation, right? And we're just going to talk. Okay. There's no plan. There's no like this or that. I'm going to put in like a random, okay, second and third. We got tie game. We're losing 8-0 in the second inning. I'm going to throw in some pitches, and we're going to say, what are we thinking here? And we're just going to go through. So this first one will be kind of an easy one, just so we understand like what's going on here. Let's say, let me get my drawing stuff out here. Let's go. Okay, let's say there's no one on base. Okay, so these are blank. Let's do this. Let's have I was about to overcomplicate this. We're gonna keep it simple. Let's say the score is 1-1 in the, oh Jesus, I'm drawing with my mouse here. In the second inning. Okay. And I threw a slider for this is the location. Okay. So the color is blue. So that means slider. The location is where I draw it. And in case we're not already familiar with this, if I draw K forwards, that means he swings. If I draw K backwards, that means he took it, but it's called a strike. Okay. So he swung on a slider there. And I'll get better at this really quick. Don't worry. He swung on a slider there, and he just swung on a slider here. So those are the two pitches that were thrown. Slider in, swing and miss. Slider down, swing and miss. It's 0-2. We'll start with Joey. What are you throwing? What are you calling next?
I would call a slider in the kind of in the exact same spot as the first one, because you know he's gonna chase, and he's definitely gonna try to protect the zone. So he's gonna expand the zone a little bit.
Okay. So you're throwing another slider, and you don't want it over the plate.
Yeah.
All right. Instead of us going around the room, and this is how we'll do it, guys, and I'll let you speak. Don't worry. Instead of going around the room and saying, like, I agree, and here's why. Like, if you agree, we'll be quiet. If you agree for a different reason, you can say that. If you disagree, you can talk. But if you're like, Joey's got it, I'm on the same page, we'll just be quiet. So if you disagree or you want to throw that but for a different reason, speak now.
I disagree.
Okay. What do you got?
I'm gonna go curveball low and away because he's gonna be. I think after two consecutive sliders that he swung at that were balls, he's gonna be looking for the slider, and if you catch him off balance with the curveball, I think you might have a better chance at K'ing him.
Okay. So you think that he is going to adjust and you think he's expecting the slider, right?
Yes,
So you want to throw something else.
correct.
Now, why the curveball?
Because changeup doesn't have that much movement, and neither does the fastball. Or it depends on the pitcher.
We'll say generic pitcher, nothing special, like
Okay, so
what
then
you expect.
a regular pitcher, I'll say the curveball and the slider had the most movement. But they're going to be looking, I think they'll be looking for the slider, not anywhere specific. They'll just be looking for the slider. And if you catch them off balance with some different movement horizontally and diagonally, I think you'll have a better chance at catching him off balance.
Okay. So does anyone have a different opinion? That hasn't been said already. We're not going to take votes or
I
whatever.
just have a question.
Go ahead.
Is it 0-2 or 1-1?
It is 0-2. And the way you know that is because this was a forwards K, so that means swing and miss. And this was a forwards K, so that means swing and miss.
I was confused because you had 1-1.
Sorry, that's the score. My bad. Yeah.
The count.
I'm not going to write the count just because it takes a while. Yeah, this will be the score. I'm sorry. Yeah, so score, inning, and then the count you'll know. So like if I wrote, for example, here, if I wrote a B here, that's a changeup because it's white and it's a ball. Because you didn't swing.
Jeez,
Okay.
that's a terrible changeup.
All right. So we got Joey's strategy, we got Cato's strategy. Any other a different thing we want to do?
Anybody going hater?
I was gonna go fastball. I was gonna either do what Joey said, a slider, or a high and out fastball. After seeing two somewhat like inside sliders, I would go a high and outside fastball. After him knowing that he kind of just looked really bad on those two sliders after missing both of them, I think he's gonna still look for that slider. So I think catching on like a fastball outside, high and outside, would catch him off balance and unexpected.
When you say high and outside, do you mean like off the plate or like
A little off the
third?
corner? A little
Over
off the
here.
corner. Yeah,
Okay. So you think he'll chase this pitch?
possibly, or take it and then go back with the slider.
Okay. All right.
I'll take that and raise you a fastball up and in the kitchen, man. This guy's a little bit defensive. Just got a couple sliders, looking like a fool. That fastball is going to look like he's not even be able to tell if that's at the top of the zone. He's going to wave at it. Or I'm just going to agree with my man Joey. I like the triple up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. I think my first thought is throw it again. And you'll be able to tell by the swing. If he was right on both these pitches, but they were just off the plate, so he missed them, but they were competitive swings, then I'm going with Coach Dwayne. I'm throwing a fastball up, and I'm gonna think that he's slowed down his timing a little bit. He's really worried about that pitch, and I can groove a fastball in there and make him uncomfortable. If he swings and misses at these pitches, and he's ahead by 3 feet, and just like ugly swings, like what the heck just threw, or he that pitch might as well have been up and out based on where he swung, then like I'm giving it to him again. He's not going to hit it. So good. With Cotto's suggestion of the curveball, if you had said curveball down, that would be an option. Pitchers don't generally throw curveballs to their arm side or like away, in this case, to the lefty really well. So this is a hard pitch to execute. And curveball or slider at your level, those pitches are kind of the same thing. We'll say this is like your level baseball. So if Joey's answering based on an 11 or 12-year-old kid. If you're a freshman in college, this is a college pitcher. Okay. So yeah, I would say both the fastball up or the slider down would be what I would go with. Dwayne, you give us the next situation here. So
Let's
what you're gonna do is
go-
you're
Can I
gonna
say
tell me
something
the-
quick about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something quick about the pitch I called?
Defend yourself,
I
Mike.
would call that because with my last team, there was this one pitcher, he had a really good curveball, and that's where he told me he felt more comfortable throwing it there, so that's why I said that.
All right. Fair enough. I think if I had said to everyone before the call, hey, your pitcher really likes to go curveball after the slider and he's good at it, then I think we would have had some different answers. So fair enough. All right, Dwayne. So you're gonna first give me the score.
All right, so I was gonna say top of the first inning, 2-0 bad guys.
We'll say top of the first. So they've already scored this inning.
Yes, they've scored
Which
2
means,
runs.
Hold on. Which means that I'm doing this wrong. Which means that the away team scored 2-0. Anyone on base?
Yeah, man on second base.
And on second base here. All right. I know I'm not filling the whole thing in. That's good enough. Man on second.
Oh,
What has been thrown? Oh. Okay, so no pitch has been thrown.
Yes.
Righty or lefty hitter? I know we got a lefty here.
We're gonna go with a right-handed hitter. Okay, it's the 4-hitter. Obviously, the first 2 guys scored on, let's say, doubles or homers, extra base hits. You guys just getting beat up a little bit right now.
All right. What pitches did he throw? What pitches were hit? Does it matter in this case?
In this scenario, we're gonna say it's a fastball pitcher who's getting a little bit too much of the middle of the plate. His fastball's been getting touched a little bit.
So guys, it's an 0-0 count, but just so you see, we have a home run and let's say a home run. So that's what's happened so far, and I'll get rid of that.
And those are both fastballs?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So go ahead. 0-0 count, righty hitter, not lefty. Sorry, right-handed hitter. You're losing 2-0 in the first already. There's a man on second. The wheels are starting to come off. Go ahead.
I have a question about the scenario.
Go ahead.
Is the 4-hitter like 6 foot and 230, or is he like
He's a
smaller
power
than
hitter.
that?
He's a power
He's
hitter.
a power hitter? All right.
I think I would go outside slider to try out something new. You know, the fastball isn't working if it's getting touched. And he's a 4-hitter, obviously. You don't want to give him another fastball that's been getting touched all game or at the start. And yeah.
So I'm writing this here just as I'm going to document our suggestions. So we got outside slider. Remember, right-handed hitter.
You know, when I catch, I kind of put myself in the scenario. If I'm hitting what I'd be expecting, and now if I'm the 4-hitter and all the hitters in front of me have been getting fastballs and they've been getting touched up, I'd be kind of almost expecting an off speed, but not fully, because then the fastball gets you. So I throw low and outside changeup. because
Ooh.
it kind of looks like a fastball at the start. And then after him throwing that many fastballs and getting touched up, I think if you throw a changeup, it kind of looks like a fastball, but then it's just slower and it drops, and then I think he'd be ahead.
A bold first pitch call right there, Robbie. Bold.
I agree with him.
Agree with him that it's bold, or agree with Robbie that it's a good pitch?
I agree with the pitch placement.
All right.
And I agree with that because, like he said, it's like a fastball. It just has movement and it's slower.
Okay. Any other ideas? And remember, if you want either of these two pitches, then that's what we'll go with. But if you have a third pitch, then we'll add it.
Oh, these strikes are balls.
These are where you want to throw them.
These are potential.
Oh, okay. I thought we were
pitches.
saying like we're throwing a pitch and they're swinging.
No. Potential pitches here.
Yeah, we're just deciding
Alright.
like what will I call? What do I want to throw? Eventually, we could do like, okay, now you throw that and he gets hit. Like we'll get there, but right now it's just what are you going to do next?
I'd say like a curveball low and inside, because after those two fastballs were hit for home runs, it looks like his low and inside.
This is a
So-
right-handed hitter.
Righty
Sorry.
hitter we're doing.
Oh shoot, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you want the curveball over outside to the righty?
Yeah.
So similar idea, but you're going righty here.
Hmm.
Or sorry, you're going curveball. Okay. What I'm throwing here is, so my guy is a fastball pitcher, right? That's not working right now. Perhaps the other team knows that this guy's going to throw a lot of fastballs. Like they're like, hey, this big dude, this big pitcher's up. He throws a little bit hard, but he's going to challenge you with a fastball. He doesn't like to throw that curveball unless he's like 0-2. So maybe the other team is just like, we call it ambushing. They're like, I think I'm going to get a fastball and I'm going to kind of sit on it and just jump on it. Maybe that's what's happened. So with that, I like what you guys are thinking where, okay, let's mix it up. The fastball's not working. Let's just reset a little bit, get them something else going. The pitch location is good. Let's say we execute this and the other team is like, they're full. Do they swing and miss? Whatever. The problem I have with it, and if Dwayne disagrees, then that's totally okay. We're not here to shake hands on everything. The problem I have with this is that if he misses, right? So his confidence is already low because he gave up his best pitch, his fastball, is getting hit on it. Now he tries to throw this pitch and he misses and it's a ball. Now he's 1-0. He hasn't thrown his off-speed for a strike and his fastball is getting crushed. And now he's in a fastball count again. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So what I would do is I would pick either his curveball or his slider, whichever one he's got more feel for. Let's say it's the curveball. And let's say he could throw his curveball pretty good. I want him to throw his curveball right here. Now, the positives of this, as I see it, are if he misses up, misses down, misses in, like he's got a pretty good chance of throwing it for a strike. I want this for a strike. And I'm making the assumption that the next hitter wants a fastball and I'm throwing him something else. But really what I'm doing is I want him to change his rhythm, the pitcher. I want the pitcher to change his rhythm and kind of mix it up and get that for a strike and get ahead and feel good about himself. That's my goal with this.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we still on the 4-hitter?
Same hitter. We haven't thrown a pitch yet. It's still 0-0.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay. I'm gonna bring up the counter, and if it's the same thing, then I'll let you go with it. The counter argument to this, actually, instead of me telling you, why is my idea bad? What do you guys think?
Because can I go?
Yep.
I think it's a bad idea because say he reads obviously the team's reading the ball out of the hand well. They could do what Harper and Alec Boehm did in the World Series, where Harper told Boehm something when McCullers was tipping his pitches. And then Boehm hit a home run. They could be saying that. And they could tell, like, you could see the spin as soon as it gets out of his hand. And if the big 4-hitter sees that coming in, I think there's a very good possibility he crushes that and adds on another run.
So you think he might be expecting me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might,
Go ahead,
Kyle, I kind of have like a little chess maneuver here. My thought process is that I want him to anticipate. I want to play to my pitcher's strength. I want him to feel comfortable. I like the idea of changing because sometimes guys get a little bit crazy with their fastball command, and in this instance, it's not bad, right? So I don't want to get away from his fastball. He's a fastball guy. He's got good command of it. So what I might do is I might call a timeout, run out to the mound, and start to get into the hitter's head that we're going to go with a different approach. We might get away from the fastball here, and then I'm probably just going to go with a fastball down and away. I know it's a pitch he can execute. It's just maybe he has not been necessarily on the corner where I want him, outside corner, low and away. The last thing I want to do is kind of feed something to the next guy's barrel. But I do like the idea of curveball there to kind of change up the rhythm.
I don't necessarily disagree with Dwayne. I don't think a fastball is wrong in this case. I just think it depends on the confidence of the pitcher. I'd say just for me, I felt that the most likely scenario from going with the fastball is he most likely just throws an uncompetitive pitch out of the zone, unless he's a guy that is really, really confident in himself. But if he just gets hit for 2 home runs on his fastball, I'd say he's most likely just going to try to overthrow and aim to that spot. And he could end up throwing it over the middle, or I'd say chances are he just yanks it and it's out of the zone.
Yeah. My point kind of overall, and I like that a lot, Nick. But my point kind of overall is that I need this guy's fastball to kind of be there. Otherwise, we're going to have to go to the next guy. So I don't want to go too far away from it. Although I do definitely support the idea of switching it up on the 4-hitter and going with a little bit of a backwards approach, especially with the previous 3 hitters barreling the ball up. But if he's a fastball guy, he's got to kind of be able to get back to that location.
Yeah. So to kind of summarize this, right? If Dwayne knows his pitch really well and knows like he needs this pitch and we got to get it set up, and I'm willing to take a risk by throwing it again if it means that we get him on track, then like good idea. If my thought was like I have confidence that he can throw that secondary pitch for a strike, it might just be a reset. He might be able to sneak one in there, get ahead, and now he's got options 0-1, hopefully. That's my thought process. If you're thinking of like what Robbie said, where, hey, that 4-hitter's coming up, he just saw this guy tag a bunch of fastballs, and you think that 4-hitter is going to come up and be like, dude, I'm the 4-hitter. He's getting rocked. Like, I'm not about to see a fastball down the middle here. I'm expecting curveball. And that's what kind of Kato said. If I think that's going to happen, then this might not be the right pitch. So I think the point of these is not necessarily to be like, this is like fastball is the right pitch, curveball is the wrong pitch. It's to get us in the practice of like, what are we considering to make our decision? Because at the end of the day, no one's going to know your pitcher better than you will, and no one's going to see the zone as well as you do. And that's why it's important that you guys like are thinking for yourselves when you're out there. Anything to add with that, Dwayne?
No, sir. I mean, I think so much of this is like subjective to the moment. It really depends on what's going on. And it really depends on, honestly, it really depends on the day. Like we all know that those pitchers that usually have some pitches or don't, or whatever it is that has kind of has them in a funk. But I just try to get back to that like status quo feeling so much with my gut, with my pitcher. And it's something I did pretty well as a player, was I was able to kind of get them back to like their bread and butter. I had a guy in college who was he was a really heavy on the changeup, which is not too typical anyways. Like I didn't catch too many guys that were really good on the changeup. And like, even if it was not 100%, I would just kind of remind him like, hey, listen, this is your pitch, man. This is your pitch. Kind of fill him with a little bit of confidence and get to establish that pitch, because he needs it for his overall success. And in this situation here, it's this guy's fastball.
Yep. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. Like, let's say the curveball or the changeup, whatever the off-speed pitch of choice is. Like, does he have a feel for it? if you watch them in the bullpen and it's a disaster, then like I'm not throwing ball one here just to say I did it. Like that's not going to help anyone. This might not be the situation for that. But if the guy's struggling a little bit, but he's, nothing's too crazy going on, like I need him to get a feel for that. Let's get him some reps here, some low risk reps. Like if you're 0-2, that might be a good time to like feel out the changeup because you're ahead and like you're not, there's no danger. But
Yeah.
things we'll get into.
Yeah. One more thing, Kyle, I wanted to say too was
Yeah.
it's the first inning. In our game right now, we're talking about like a 7-inning game, maybe. Like I have to be able to trust my offense enough to get 2 or 3 runs, 4 runs. I tell my high school guys like, hey, you get us 4 runs or less, we should be able to win the game. So I'm looking at, hey, we have time to build some momentum, but we're not going to be able to get any momentum if he can't throw his fastball for a strike in this situation that we have here.
Definitely. So we are running out of time here. I don't want to keep you guys too late. I know you have school and everything. So we will definitely do that again. We have not even scratched the surface of all the things we can mess around with that. So we'll get there. Let's see. For next week, guys, remember, if you're not signed up for session 2, basically next week and beyond, we have another 7 weeks. They will end right around the end of February, right when metrics ends. So please join. Same thing, you can go online and sign up. You can email me, you got questions, whatever. We will continue in the future. We'll talk more about throwing stuff. We will do more game situation stuff, not with pitch calling like this, but we have some what do we have on deck for next week? We got talking with Dwayne about this. We're gonna do like actually, Dwayne, you had said it really well. Why don't you walk us through what your idea for next week is?
Yeah, so just anticipating like people, newer guys or whatever, kind of the reset, refocus of our call for next week. We're gonna kind of head the leadership conversation, Kyle and myself. Just and the same layout will go as the weeks go on, again, just the same way you guys had it. But into next week, we're gonna cover. We kind of just talked about our mentality into the pitch calling, right? So like pre-pitch stuff, reading the situation, knowing the situation, anticipating what's going to happen based on the pitches we call. And next week, what we're going to get into is like what I physically have to do after the ball is put in play. And what you can kind of expect to see is stuff where we need to back up fielders, situations where we need to take different approaches to fielding balls thrown to us, what we might need to verbally communicate out to the field, or what we might have to do as far as like making adjustments with the defense, even pre-pitch a little bit. Okay. So we're going to continue to go to that pitch sequence stuff that we just did. But we will also kind of implement like some we'll go beyond that and talk about like, hey, what you're going to be physically doing after the ball's put in play. We'll give you and go over what we have to do in those different scenarios.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's been a while now since we've been on a field. Even if you played until like early November, it's been a while since we've been out there, and we kind of lose that a little bit. But this time of year is where we start to get the itch to get back outside and be on a field in that perspective we just had, where you're looking out, you see the whole field there, you got a batter in the box, like all that stuff. So we are going to make it very game-like moving forward. Because we do it.
Kyle, just sorry, real quick, but guys, this is like the stuff where I'm like, I think back to a couple of times where I might have done it with Brian, where we're in the private setting doing a catching lesson, and I'm like, there are certain things that we can't. I talked to him about like our training and stuff. I'm like, there's certain things we literally can't cover, right? There are certain things we like literally cannot do. But Brian and I have had conversations about like different kinds of things, not necessarily like defensive situations like we're going to go over next week. But these kinds of things are essential to know, and it's very hard because I feel like it gets lost, right? We're in such an age of let's work on my throwing, let's work on my catching, blocking, hitting, etc. And there's no mental reps where you're constantly saying, if this happens, I need to say this. If this happens, I need to go here. If this happens, this guy has to be here. Those kinds of things. So this stuff is just as important as your physical tools, guys, as catchers. And it's a lot of responsibility. But you know what? Like I always say, you guys chose to put on the gear. So it's a responsibility of us to know these things.
All right. Really good deal. I'm looking forward to that. So guys, good work today. Remember, if you need to sign up, and we will see you next week. I will probably not be at Catchmetrics on Saturday. At the moment I will be traveling, but that might change. So plan on not seeing me there. But if not, then I'll see you on Tuesday and then weeks after that. So really good work, guys. You guys crushed the momentum call or the momentum discussion. That went way longer than I thought, and it was glorious. So good work. And we will see you guys later.
Yeah, good work, guys. One thing I will invite you guys to do before you go, just as Kyle invited me on these calls years ago, if you got catching friends of yours that you feel like would enjoy these conversations or feel like they'd benefit from these, man, it'll only enhance the conversation. You know, Kyle and I gel really, really well together, and he noticed that pretty early on, which is why he invited me on these calls even in the beginning. So if you guys have like-minded catchers or even a guy where you're like, hey, you might benefit from this call, feel free to have him jump on, and it would be great to expand the conversation. But guys, I'm super, super impressed with what we've done with this first session. I'm excited to see what we got moving forward.
Well said, Dwayne. Well, good night, everyone.
Good night.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.